So how do you get so much done in so little time? That's what I'm talking about today on Good Life Project Jam Session. One of the questions that I tend to get a fair amount is, dude, every time I look at you, you're launching something else or you're writing something else. You produce a huge amount of content, videos, audio, text, books, whatever it is, which is kind of interesting because I don't feel like I actually do. I'm always looking at what I'm not producing that I want to produce. But again, that's a whole nother conversation. So the question tends to be, how do you actually be really super productive? Do you have spreadsheets? Do you do all this? Do you use tools and applications and platforms? The answer is honestly, no. I've tried a lot of stuff. Some work, some doesn't. My mind tends to not latch onto them. My big productivity cheat, my hack, is actually something you wouldn't expect. It's something that I didn't expect until I tried it. And I learned it a long time ago. And sometimes I forget about it, and when I do, everything blows up and I get reminded, sometimes in ways I don't want to be reminded. So what is that hack? What's the cheat? What's my big productivity hack? To get twice as much done, go a lot slower. How did I learn that? Well, it harkens, harkens, good word, right? All the way back to my time when I was in an office job. Now, I had my office in one tower, and to get to the people that I was working with, I had to take it all the way down, the elevator, all the way down, through the lobby of the building in New York City, and back to the top of the other tower where the people who I was working under had their offices. This was a while back, right? This was when email was not so catching on. I know. Can you believe there was a time before email being just super mainstream? There wasn't even texting back then. So I was on this crazy deadline, and we had like huge amounts of work to do. And I would go and I'd hang out in my office, I'd work, and then my boss would call, hey, show me what you got. I'd pack everything up, I'd zoom over to the elevator, take it down to the lobby, zoom over, zoom back up. I'm in his office, he takes a look. Oh, but you missed this. Zoom back down, go over here, go back up. Hey, show me what you got. Zoom back down. And I would find myself going back and forth, and I'm working, okay, I need to go faster, I need to work harder, and I'm literally flying. I would pant for the vast majority of the day because I'm trying to move so quickly to get more done. I'm doing a job on a project with a crazy deadline. It's inconceivable that we can hit the deadline, so what's my answer? Work faster, work harder. Boom, 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 boom. Problem is, when you start to work at the hair on fire speed all the time, every day, you start to drop balls left and right. You make mistakes way more than you normally would. So what I discovered one day, literally as I'm taking the elevator down and dreading it and saying, this really it's not working, man, is that, let me try an experiment. And I literally called it my hair on fire -1 experiment. That was back when I had hair, by the way. Now, here's what I did. I hung out in my office, crazy deadline, nothing changed about the circumstance. I still have ridiculous amounts of work and an impossible deadline to meet. So instead of racing to meet the deadline, I very deliberately pulled back and said, okay, I know my hair on fire pace. I know my pace where it's just, I can't possibly function any faster. And I also know that that pace is leading to mistakes, which are making me have to redo things and making me have to go up and down the towers over and over and over and get documents back with errors and problems like that. So let me dial it back 1. So I literally pulled it back to what I felt was about 10 to 15% slower. What I found was a small dial back in the speed at which I worked made a huge improvement in the product, in the quality of what I was putting out, to the extent where I had to do so many fewer revisions and fix so many fewer things that I was actually able to produce a much higher quality product in substantially less time by working 10 to 15% slower. Seems a little counterintuitive, but I've actually violated that principle so many times, then had to pull back and say, whoa, wait, hair on fire -1, and then done it, and then said, yeah, this is why I do it. that I've been reminded enough times that I know for me, this is a really, really effective technique, is to literally have a check-in mechanism. And anytime I find myself feeling like I'm racing nonstop and working as hard as I can and flying around, I'll stop myself and say, wait, if I need to hit this deadline, if I want to do the best possible work in the shortest amount of time, the best way to do it is not move as fast as possible, but I go to hair on fire -1. I dial it back 10 to 15%, and I get it done faster, and the quality is way better. So explore that when you're thinking about productivity hacks. Think less about platforms and apps and tracking systems and to-do lists. Think more about the pace at which you're working and your ability to actually pull back a tiny bit in the name of creating far fewer mistakes, having to make far fewer fixes, and creating a much higher quality of output in less time. That's my productivity tip. Works pretty well for me. Maybe it'll work for you. I'm Jonathan Fields signing off for Good Life Project Jam Sessions.